So our next principle is focus on products. And here the project manager advises the project stakeholders. So projects that focus on activities are more successful than projects that focus on what needs to be produced. So does that sound appropriate? Is that okay?
The opposite sounds really okay.
And the opposite would be?
To focus on the product, not the activities.
Yeah. And that's
products first, and then based on the products that we have to create, we will think about the activities. But most people start by thinking about activities, and that's the problem.
Yeah. That's why when you ever open up that Microsoft project plan, and the top column over the description or in that area, it says activity immediately, So I always change it to product and keep it high level. Yeah.
Well, it depends on what you have there. Maybe you just have your tasks in Microsoft project. Okay. You can create your product somewhere else.
Well, you can still create your Gantt chart when you list your products as well. It gives you a good overview on when things are delivered. Yeah. So projects that focus on what needs to be produced are generally more successful than projects that focus on just the work activity. That's the point which PRINCE2 is trying to get across here. Now, my next question on focus on products. The project manager decides to first use the product breakdown structure instead of using the work breakdown structure. And the reason that they think is that the product breakdown structure helps them to identify the products first rather than the activities. Is that a correct assumption by the project manager?
Okay, I cannot answer it without explaining product breakdown structure and work breakdown structure.
You can do it, but just do it quick.
Yeah. Well, for you out there, there's something I can confess here. The fact is that we have recorded the themes and processes first, and then the principles. And I've already explained that in the future lessons, and now we are here. But I think I have to explain. Is it okay if I do it again?
Sure. See you in the future.
Okay. Coming from the future. A work breakdown structure based on the Printable guide and other resources that really use work breakdown structure, because it is not an integrated part of PRINCE2. Based on those resources, a work breakdown structure is a hierarchy of deliverables in the project, which means products. That's the real way we define work breakdown structure. The name is terrible. It talks about work. Work is usually activities, but they try to redefine the word work. That's how it is. So based on that, there is no real difference between work breakdown structure that is well defined and the product breakdown structure that we have in PRINCE2.
Yes.
But however, unfortunately, most people think that work breakdown structure is about activities. And for some reason, PRINCE2 thinks the same.
Yeah.
And I tried, when we were reviewing PRINCE2, I tried to convince them to fix that part, but they didn't. They just added the correct definition from the Printable guide. Still, it's still fine. But the main message we have in the manual now is that work breakdown structure is about activities. So, in case you have a question like that in your exam, you should consider work breakdown structure as something related to activities, and therefore now you know the answer. We think about the products first, the product breakdown structure, and the work breakdown structure next, if you want to.
Good. That's a good overview, and not too long.
Yeah, but in the future lessons we'll
give you more information.
Yeah.
Good. Okay, so question 3 then on focus on products. The focus on products principle helps to ensure that the project only carries out work to deliver a product and does no more than this. Is that correct? Does that sound correct? So I'll start it again. PRINCE2 wants to say that the focus on products principle helps to clarify what needs to be done to just produce a product, and not about other activities which probably add other features which are not needed necessarily done. Is that correct?
We just need to create a product. And sometimes we need to do other things to ensure that we can deliver the product properly. For example, the quality activities or the risk management activities, but still they are there to serve the product, and the product-based planning serves that purpose.
Yeah.
So I would say yes.
I think what Prince2 is trying to get across here, that if we start off creating an overview of all the different activities, we get carried away in our work, and the output of the work will be something fantastic and super, but it may be too super for what the user requires. So if we just write a good product description and let that be our driving force, then we will know when we're complete. We will know when we have enough done, and then we'll stop the work and move on to a different product.
Yeah, and sometimes we even deliver something that is not related to what serves the purpose for the user. Yeah. We're just doing the same activities that we are used to do, but they may not be the one we need. Right. If we are focused on the product, we have that in mind, and then we think about different activities that can create that product, and we are always ready to change that based on the situation, based on the market, based on the resources that we have. But the product is the center, and that stays the same. But what many people do is that they keep the activities the same and try to force the same activities to create the result that they want, which doesn't always work. Maybe always works, but it's not optimized. Maybe it's not the best way of doing that. They're not ready to change the way they work. Correct. That's a problem.
Okay. We've got one more question on focus on products. A project manager uses the principle focus on products, as this helps to reduce the amount of documentation required for each product description. Is that an appropriate way for the project manager to think?
Are these related? Well,
of course. Focus on product and product description. Yes.
Well, if you are not focused on the products, you may say that we need to have product descriptions because Prince2 says so. And then you will keep writing and writing and writing. Useless product descriptions. But if you are focused on the product, you know why you need to have product descriptions. Simple, useful product descriptions. So they may be smaller and easier.
Okay. All right.
How would you answer?
Well, I'll read the question again and then answer, because I'm a bit lost now by your answer. So the question was, Prince2, the project manager uses the focus on products, as this helps to reduce the amount of documentation required for each product description. Actually, that would be incorrect in saying so, because what we're trying to do is we always lead first with the product description, and we do enough product description to allow the team then to create the product. So it doesn't reduce, it just puts more effort into it, to doing it correctly, and then there'll be less work and people will know exactly what they have to do.
Unless what I said is correct.
Huh?
Unless what I said is correct.
You mean... Did you say that?
I said that it may reduce the amount of documentation, the right focus on products.
All right.
But it depends. Some people don't create product descriptions, so that's zero for them. And when you create any product description, because you have a focus on product and you are creating more documents in that case. But sometimes people just generate documents because they think that only by having documents they have a good project management system, and those people usually create a lot of documents.
Yes, okay. Well, the whole principle here from Prince2 is that we lead with product descriptions, so we have good product descriptions. Not full, but just good. Now we're going to move on to the last stage of principle, which is about tailoring.
Okay.
Now the project board asks the project manager to use a one-slide highlight report, as this is the standard used in the organization and how they make decisions. But the project manager wants to use the Word template provided by Prince2. Is it appropriate for the project board to ask this, and what should the project manager do?
Of course it is okay, because it's created to be used by the project board. So it should serve the purpose, it should fit the purpose, it should be appropriate for the project board when they think that they are more comfortable one slide PowerPoint file, then that's probably the best way to go.
Sure. Yeah, there are two leading things here. First of all, it seems to be a standard. That's how all projects report up to the project board, and they're used to dealing with one slide page overview. And the second thing is it fits a requirement very well. If the project board want to make a decision, and that's how they want to get the information, they should be entitled to get that in a certain way as well. So the project manager should respond in a correct way to the project board. Question 2 then on tailoring. The project manager only uses tailoring on smaller projects because we don't want to overburden the project with management documents. But on larger projects, we don't need to tailor because we have to use all the documents anyway. Is that a correct assumption by the project manager?
One part of tailoring is about the scaling down or scaling up. We also have to scale PRINCE2 up for certain projects. But that's not the only thing. We still have to adjust the methodology to fit the project. For example, see what type of techniques we're going to use to, for example, for the progress theme, for example.
Yeah.
And that's, again, part of the tailoring. And when we do it, we have to connect it to other parts of PRINCE2. And when we do it, we have to make adjustments there. There's no project that can use PRINCE2 without tailoring.
Good. I'm
and
glad
be
you said
successful.
that. Yeah, correct. Yes, every project should be tailored, and it's a big push now in the latest manual by PRINCE2 that tailoring is mentioned in every team, and it gives examples of this. And it even suggests that when we hand in our PIDA document at the end of the initiation stage to the project board, we describe how the project is even tailored, so the project board can even see this. So every project should be tailored.
Okay. Tailoring was one of the principles from the beginning, but it seems like people still forget about that. One of the biggest changes in the new version of PRINCE2 is to keep reminding people all the time that you need to tailor it. You need to tailor it. Don't forget to tailor it. Please tailor it.
Next question. The project manager wants to make sure that the project controls are appropriate to the project scales, complexity, and importance. Is that a good way for them to think?
Yes, it should be so.
Yeah. So can you give an example so we can have, let's say if it's a very small project and we can probably use stand-up meetings instead of checkpoint reports or something like that, or we can have a meeting to discuss the end of a stage rather than providing lots of big documents at the end of every stage for a project.
Sure.
Okay. Good. One more question on tailoring then. One of the advantages of tailoring is that it leads with our heroic approach to project management, where the focus is always on delivery at all costs. Is that a good way for the project manager to think?
How does it work?
Will I read that again? So what I'm saying is one of the advantages of tailoring is that it leads to a heroic approach by the project manager where the focus is on delivery at all costs. Does that sound okay, or does it sound... Is that
I don't know.
Positive or negative?
I think I don't understand it.
The question?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Well, it actually mentions heroic approach in the PRINCE2 manual under tailoring. And it says, if tailoring is not done, what the project manager will try to do is try to be the hero to get things done. But that's the wrong way to manage a project. So we should actually tailor it down to suit the project and run the project in the proper way, instead of trying to manage by chaos and let the latest huge issue drive the next big decisions that will happen in the project. You know,
Firefighting.
Yeah. We shouldn't try to do that. So the answer to that would be no. Good. Now in my quick round questions, I got some quick round questions here. This is where I ask general quick questions because some of the exam questions are like this as well, and it helps you to get more grips with the subject. So they're very short questions. Most of the questions are based on it like this. Which principle answers this question? That's the idea. So which principle answers the question, helps to answer the question, what is expected of me?
Having clearly defined roles and responsibilities.
Okay, that's roles and responsibilities. Good. The next one. Which principle ensures that the project is properly initiated before work starts on delivery of the project's outputs?
I think you're talking about having a proper high-level plan in the beginning of the project, even though we will have the detailed plans later. In that case, it would be managed by stages.
Well, exactly. Managed by stages is how we break the project up. Yeah. Which principle reduces managers' time burden without removing the overall control and their decision power at their level in the organization?
That's managed by exception. We set certain tolerances in the project, and then we know that if the sensitivity of a certain issue or decision is below that tolerance, then the person in that level will make the decision, not the project board, not the level above.
Yeah.
And if it's above the tolerances, then that person will escalate it back. So it's about delegation and escalation.
Yeah. Delegation.
So when they do it, there are many good consequences for that. The people on the higher levels will have more time to spend that time on high level aspects of the project. And they will also have more mental energy, because when you think about details, then your mind is not ready to think about the high level aspects. That's a big problem. It's not only about time, it's also about the mentality of people. And also we will use the expertise of people in the lower levels, which is great. And we will also get them involved in the project, and we will have their buy-in.
Allow them to do their job, rather than micromanage them, which would be terrible.
And PRINCE2 only goes as down as the team manager. That's the scope. But even it's a good idea for the team manager to delegate a lot to the team members below themselves.
To work in the same way. Yeah. Which principle reduces the risk of user dissatisfaction and acceptance disputes by agreeing at the start what is going to be produced by the project?
Well, it's about the scope and quality. I would say focus on product.
Focus on product. So where we have a clear product description, where everyone agrees at the start, so the expectations are set right from the beginning, and that's our first idea of the scope as well.
Really understand what we're going to create instead of just working.
Yes, yeah. Which principle avoids a mechanistic approach to project management?
I would say tailoring.
Voila. Yeah. Because what it wants to get away from is where we open up the chapter one and do that, and then chapter two and do that. Yeah. So no, we got to tailor and make PRINCE2 suit the environment that you're are working in. So that's good.
I remember in one of our projects there was someone coming to our company with the role of something like quality assurance. And they wanted to see if we have a proper project management system, and they had a PMBOK guide type of mentality. So he came and said, do you work based on the PMBOK guide? And I said, what we do here is compatible with the PMBOK guide. Because PMBOK guide is not a methodology. You cannot run the project based on the PMBOK guide. And then he said, okay, so where's your risk management plan? Give me the document called risk management plan. Come on, it's about tailoring. We have, for example, one document that explains our old processes, because we have medium-sized projects in here. And it was called management approach, something like that. So no, you should have one called risk management plan.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
That guy didn't have any idea about tailoring, and tailoring is also required for the PMBOK guide. For all of these.
You should have asked him, well, how do you tailor? How would you tailor that for this project? So they put the question back on him, because he wouldn't have a clue. What principle reduces the likelihood of the same issue happening again in this project as happened before?
Learn from experience.
Voila. Exactly. Which principle is being followed if the project board see that the project is no longer viable and they decide to shut the project down?
Having continuous business justification.
Maybe they're too easy, those questions.
Yes, they were.
Yeah. But actually, some of them principal questions are okay. You just need to be aware of them. We've just discussed all of the principles, of course, so they're in our mind, and it's easier for us now. Maybe in 2 days' time, if I asked you, you'd have to think about them.
Yeah, that makes a difference.
So we've just discussed the principles. And next we will start with the themes and then the processes. And you're going to enjoy the course a lot. I know it. I can read minds.